Every night at exactly 3 a.m., she's there, kneeling outside my window with glowing blue skin, long silver hair clinging to her tear-soaked face, and a voice that shatters the silence as she whispers one word: husband. I've never seen her before, but she knows my name, my past, my dreams. She weeps like I left her, like I promised her something. But the scariest part? I'm starting to remember her too. The knock came at 3 a.m., sharp. Not a second late. I checked the time on my bedside holo display as the soft, rhythmic tapping echoed through the apartment walls. 3 nights in a row now. Same hour. Same quiet sobbing on the other side. I got up. Again. Cautiously padded down the hallway and approached the front door without turning on the light. The girl would be there, I already knew it. And she was. Kneeling on the doorstep, bathed in pale city glow, her skin shimmered with faint blue iridescence. She looked up at me through wet lashes, cheeks streaked with tears that sparkled like starlight. Husband, she whispered, voice breaking. I said nothing. She wore a long, sleeved outer robe, simple but elegant. It clung to her damp frame, catching the breeze and revealing just enough to see the long slits of her glowing tattoos down her collarbones and neck. Her hair, dark and shimmering like obsidian, fell in layered corner braids over her shoulders, brushing her lap. And above her hairline, twin horns arched gently backward, polished like marble, as if carved by time itself. I found you again, she said, trying to smile. Please let me stay. I didn't know her. I didn't. But the way her voice cracked when she saw me, the way her arms reached forward but stopped inches from touching me, like she was afraid she'd break if I flinched, it did something to my chest. I think you have the wrong man, I told her, quieter this time. But her eyes just stayed locked on mine, soft, glowing blue with vertical pupils, and there was this unbearable silence between us, like something holy had been forgotten. She didn't argue. She just stood slowly, pulling the robe tighter around her. Even standing, she didn't feel threatening. Her figure was graceful, strong in its posture yet hollowed, as if some part of her soul was still out there wandering. You said that last time too, she murmured. But you're always here, always where I remember. She took a slow step back into the hallway light, then turned. I'll wait again, she said. Like before. Like always. And she left, bare feet silent against the concrete. I watched her until she disappeared. And still my heart hadn't stopped pounding. The air smelled faintly of a field I couldn't name. And when I closed the door, I stood there in the dark, staring at my own reflection in the black screen, wondering why my eyes were wet too. I didn't know her, but something in me did, and it was waking up. The next night I waited. I didn't mean to, but I couldn't sleep. The clock struck 3 a.m., and before the knock came, I heard the hum, the same low-frequency shimmer that always came before she appeared. Like the air itself remembered her. I opened the door before she knocked. She was there, again kneeling, again crying, but this time she didn't flinch. Her arms wrapped around me before I could step back, trembling, desperate, warm. I remembered more, she whispered, voice muffled against my chest. I remember the war. I remember your eyes, when they took you from me. I held still. The scent of her filled my lungs, crushed blossoms and dust from stars. You're not crazy, she said gently, stepping back. You're just broken. Like me. I didn't know what made me open the door fully, but I did. She stepped in barefoot, robes trailing across the floor. She moved like someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Her eyes scanned my walls, pausing at the painting above the fireplace. You still paint, she said. You always did after missions. You hated violence but couldn't stop saving people. You were too human. I froze. Who are you? I asked. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she reached up and gently unpinned the brooch at her collar. The robe fell from her shoulders. Beneath it, she wore an armored bodysuit, cracked, faded, scorched. Symbols ran across the chest, some I recognized from old war files I wasn't supposed to have access to. Sector 9, I breathed. You're one of the vanished, she finished. We were left behind. All of us. You included. They erased everything from your mind, so you'd stop looking for us. My knees nearly gave out. I sat. You were my handler, she said softly, kneeling in front of me now. I wasn't your pet. I wasn't your soldier. I was your bonded partner. She reached up, and her fingers brushed the scar at my temple. I never knew where it came from. They took everything. But love doesn't die easy. I couldn't breathe. Flashes hit me like fire. Images of her on a battlefield, bleeding but smiling, me carrying her out of a burning tower, us beneath strange stars, her fingers on my pulse. I remember you, I choked. Her tears returned. But this time she smiled. They made you forget, so you wouldn't come back for me. And you came instead. I always did. She held my hand, and in that second, something ancient broke open inside me. Something made of fire and memory. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't alone. I had a wife, and I had abandoned her. The next day, I drove her to the place I swore I'd never return, what was once a decommissioned military complex, now a medical research facility cloaked in polite lies and barbed wire. I remember this road, she whispered. You screamed for me in the dark. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Inside, I flashed the old clearance badge I'd hidden for years. They let me in. One look at her face, and suddenly, the silence turned to stammering. One doctor dropped his tablet. Impossible, he muttered. She's been listed Kia for over a decade. She never died, I snapped. You buried her memory in me, and left her to rot in the black. They tried to contain the situation. Tried to escort us to a side room. But she wasn't having it. She stood tall, armor still cracked from battles long forgotten, her glowing violet eyes seething with fury. Where are the others? She demanded. Where's my unit? When they refused to speak, she turned to me. You saw their files. You told me their names every night in your sleep. My mind was bleeding open, old walls collapsing. I remembered now. Names. Faces. Laughter in the dark. Screams across ruined skies. We didn't leave them behind. They did. I grabbed the director by the collar. I want the truth. And we got it, buried in dusty archives below. Files labeled decommissioned assets. Photos of her team, alive long after their supposed deaths, used in Black Ops missions across galaxies, never returned. She knelt by one page, her sister's face staring back, eyes wide in an old prison photo. They lied to us both, she whispered. She stood again, looked at me, and reached for my hand. I found you once. We'll find them all. Together? I asked. Always, she said. Husband. The word didn't scare me anymore. It didn't feel like madness. It felt like purpose. We left that building in silence, but the wind around us felt different. Brighter. Free. That night, she didn't appear at 3 a.m. She was already asleep beside me. Her body, still battle-worn, lay curled beneath a soft blanket, one arm wrapped around my chest, heartbeat steady against mine. No tears. No whispering. And as I watched her sleep, I realized something. This wasn't a ghost story. It was a rescue mission. Ours. And theirs. I reached for my old lockbox, the one I hadn't opened in years. Inside were blueprints, coordinates, names I once dared not speak. She opened one eye, drowsy but smiling. You remembered it all? She asked. I nodded. You brought it back. Her hand reached for mine. Then let's bring back everyone. Under a night full of stars, ones we'd bled beneath, I made a vow. I wouldn't lose her again. I wouldn't leave anyone again. And as dawn crept across the window, the shadows that once haunted me finally disappeared. She was real. We were real. And we had a war to finish. Together.